Hello, my lovies. Welcome back to my podcast where we spill the tea and tequila. My name is Milo, and I am the host of Milo Talks, available on Spotify, Google, Apple, and YouTube. Today, we have a very special guest here with us tonight, Miss Tondi Zarina. She is a entrepreneur, owner of Wisteria Crystals, YouTuber, content creator. So let's welcome her and tell us more about yourself.
Hello. My name is Tony Zarina. I am an entrepreneur. I mostly make content, to help make women feel good and feel connected with other women, especially because I feel like sometimes it can be a little hard. But yeah, that's basically what I'm about. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok under Tony Zarina and Wisteria Crystals.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here tonight, being my first guest, as we cover the topic of mourning your past self. So let's start off with what that means to you to mourn your past self.
I feel like mourning myself to me, it really means, when it's thunderstorming outside and, the clouds underneath, they're really gray, really dark, but the sun is over top shining down. That's really what it means. It's like an internal battle of half being sad that you have to let go of a part of yourself that really shaped you as an individual. Like you have to leave that in the past, but also being very appreciative and grateful for the fact that you're able to move on.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I completely agree. Mourning your past self, some people don't necessarily understand what I mean by that when I say that, but it sometimes can really take a toll on you. Because, like you said, it's not something that you can necessarily see, but it is painful sometimes because you are losing what I see as a best friend of yours, because you love that person, but you also need to let go of them in order to be able to grow. The best visual example I can give is if you've ever seen the movie Inside Out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the scene where the elephant has to be left behind. Oh.
Oh no, not Bing Bong.
Bing Bong. That scene almost made me cry. And that is when I realized that I am not the only one that experienced this mourning of your past self.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's talk about what are some of the habits that you've had to leave behind.
So some of the habits that I've had to leave behind, I've had to leave behind a lot. I feel like I'm a whole different person than who I was. I'm not going to say 2 years ago. It's been slow crawl, but like 4 years ago, 5, 6 years ago, one of the biggest ones is my self-destructive behaviors towards my body. I feel like I didn't really grow up in an environment that respected women. And so I had a lot of dislike for my body. I was teased because I didn't have as much body as other girls my age, which was crazy because we were 11, what? But I ended up developing some heavy mental ill things, really spiraling because I wasn't really comfortable with who I was all the way. And the rise of the Instagram body really didn't help because I was 11 in 2011. So whenever the Instagram body popped, that's what age I was that year. Some of my bad habits I really had to be forced to stop. And then some of them, I had to intervene myself. I had to accept change even when I really just wanted comfort. Because if I didn't step in for me, especially for certain things, then it would just go on forever.
Yes, yes, I completely agree with you, especially on the social media part. I think social media has had a big impact on the way that we see ourselves and the lifestyle that we carry. For myself, some of the habits that I've had to let go and leave behind were my lifestyle habits. They weren't the most healthiest. A lot of my partying habits, as fun as that time was, I know that it wasn't doing any good for me. And some might say was even a little self destructing. But it's really hard to get out of that mindset and out of that cycle of habits when social media is constantly pushing this lifestyle on you or constantly pushing what everyone believes that should be, in your case, the perfect body style, quote unquote. And a lot of these things can quickly be normalized because of how much it's pushed on us everywhere we go.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So,
Scary. I said that's why TikTok can be scary. Their algorithm is too on point. Is too they be on next.
yes, yes. I like TikTok because it's been pushing me in the way of the habits that I want to create. But I feel like on Instagram, I see more of the lifestyle that I want to get away from. Yeah, yeah. I feel like on Instagram is a little bit more image based and like the partying lifestyle type of vibe. Whereas then on TikTok, you can kind of create your own TikTok feed page and what you want to see, what mindset you want to go into.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're very right. Their algorithm, they're so good. If you watch and interact with things that you really want to like be, TikTok can help you manifest in a way. They will push that content to you. That's one thing they're gonna do.
Yes. For you page definitely say for you.
Yes. For sure.
Uh-huh. Is there anything that you miss from your old self?
Yes. I miss being green. I miss being naive. I feel like to a degree I still am kind of naive. There's a part of me that just feels like that's just me in a sense. But I feel like ignorance was really bliss. And while there were certain lessons that I really needed to learn, and I'm very grateful to have learned those lessons and like caught one, there's also, the ups were really up. They were up and it was fun. But the crash was really disgusting. It was really bad. But I do miss the up.
I completely agree. When you're up there, it feels like nothing could go wrong. You don't even realize that these are potential bad habits. But when you crash, oh my goodness, you're sitting there questioning your entire personality.
Your whole life, like, why did I ever? Now you're wondering if it was meant to be, if it's worth it, doubting yourself, yeah, it gets that.
Yes, yes. I think that I miss certain things about each of the stages in my life. Like when I was in high school, I did a lot of makeup, and that was like my stress reliever. I miss that part of my high school days, but my high school days were also some of my most depressing days. I don't miss the entirety of it, but I just miss the being able to do makeup and just live life a little bit more free. During my early college days, my early 20s, well, I guess I'm still in my early 20s. In my late teens, I had a lot of fun. I missed the rush of adrenaline, but I can also acknowledge how self destructing that lifestyle was and how dangerous it could have been. Thankfully, I made it out of that lifestyle alive and safe, and nothing ever happened. But now that I am in a more calm headspace, I can definitely see how dangerous the type of activity and habits that I had could have been. But have you, when is it that you've noticed that you missed part of yourself the most?
I miss parts of myself the most when I find myself in situations where I know I would have reacted differently. If a different Tondi was here, you would be getting a different reaction, but you're not. And I feel like it's easiest to like really recognize those situations when your buttons are being pushed and you're like, that don't unlock the cheat code no more.
Yes, yes, I can definitely agree with that. Whew, I can definitely agree with that, especially on the way you choose to react to things. I like to believe that now I'm a lot of a calmer person, which is something that had completely forgot about in a way when you just mentioned about the reaction. A couple of years ago, I would have definitely reacted different to a lot of things,
Hmm.
especially when things start to go wrong. Now I see it more from digging deep perspective of, oh, why do I feel this way? What's the solution? More of a, how are we going to fix this type of mindset? Whereas then before, it was more of a aggressive, more of a reaction instead of a response.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that I mourn my past self the most when I have time to sit and think and things aren't going my way or the way that I would like for it to be going. Then I start questioning if all the work I've done to grow as a person is even worth it when I was having a lot more fun back then. Even
Yeah.
if it was toxic or, whatever people want to call it, I was having way more fun back then. Is it really worth going through all this change and trying to become a different person? Then I start to wonder, like, you know what? I could just go right back to it.
It's missing being green.
Yes,
Being
yes,
green.
yes, yes. But I mean, to be quite honest, I have tried to go back to like some of the lifestyles that I had before, but it's just not the same anymore.
That's usually how it goes. Like, there's things that I used to do um, to cope with my emotions and um, some of those, like I said, some of those things I was forced to stop. And when I did get to stopping them, I stopped them for years. And then I would have an instance where I feel like my life is falling apart. And I'm like, you know what? This is what saved me last time. Maybe I'll try it this time. And every single time I do it, I'm like, wow, this was dumb.
Yes.
I'm like, oh,
Yes.
I regret doing that.
Yes, yes. I definitely agree with you on the being forced to stop certain habits because sometimes we do need that little push of the universe saying you're going to stop because you have to. If you don't choose to, I'm going to make you.
Literally.
Mhm.
When it's your time, it's your time.
Yes, yes. And like at the time, when I have been forced to stop certain habits or make certain changes, I would think to myself, like, well, why? But later on, months later, once understood the why, once I saw the why, I was seeing it more so from a perspective of being thankful that I got that push.
Mm, yeah.
Yes, yes. So, what are some of the new habits that you've learned going into this new version of yourself?
So this new version of myself uh, is learning emotional management. There we go. Better emotional management skills definitely helped me out. Um, Growing up, like nobody really believed in mental health, and I feel like I was taught that the best way to maintain your emotions was to really just pray it away. And I felt like if I talked about it or expressed it, then I was kind of like stepping out of line. And it was just tough to express myself, which is crazy because I'm a Scorpio. I feel a lot of emotions. Like
Mhm.
my emotions sometimes give me whiplash where I'm dizzy and I'm like, wow, that was crazy actually. So it was hard. And I ended up like going through therapy and stuff like that and learning to actually accurately identify, appropriately express, and objectively view my emotions and mental state um, as life was changing. Um, Once I figured out how to do that, I feel like a lot of stressors that used to be there left. And that was really like the big part of mourning. Um, but it's definitely is not a one-time thing. It's something I feel like you manage forever. And once you stop managing it, you start backsliding.
Mhm. Yes, yes. I just want to mention both Tandy and I are Scorpios. Love that Scorpio energy.
Yes.
Yes, I can definitely agree with that. Coming from a Mexican culture, I think we also were raised to not really express emotion a lot. I also grew up Catholic, and
Hmm.
I didn't necessarily believe in everything that they believe in. So I started learning a little bit more about spirituality and other ways of seeing, how do I say this? Other ways of connecting with a higher being that
Hmm.
wasn't necessarily through religion. So now I do things like read tarot and I meditate a lot and do cleanses and things like that. And I feel like that has really helped me when it comes to my anxiety. Now that I feel a connection with a higher being that I didn't necessarily felt before because of all of their beliefs that are very strict when it comes to us being able to be ourselves fully.
Hmm.
So being able to release myself, but also feel a connection and like protection in a way has helped me overall. I don't feel as anxious because I have full faith that things will work out the way that I imagine them. I've gotten a lot into manifesting. When I feel anxious, I do things like um, create mixtures of herbs and kind of journal sometimes. I do journal sometimes, but kind of sit there and have time to process things.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. All
Yeah.
right. I definitely feel that. I agree. I feel like I don't really connect with religion as much. I feel like um I I feel like you don't need a religion to connect to God.
Mm-hmm.
So and I feel like it's hard to really, for me at least, to tie down to a religion because when you get to learning about more than just the one you grew up with, they get interesting. You're like, okay, I like pieces of this one, I like pieces of that one, I like pieces of this one. And then you kind of start putting together your own thing. And that's really where spirituality comes in, because it's no longer like what another person says you should be. It's what feels right between you and God personally
Mm-hmm.
through spirit.
Yes, yes, I definitely agree with that. I'm so happy you said that because I've also experienced those internal battles with myself of, well, like I do like and believe in this part of this religion, but I also agree with this perspective. But a lot of religions make it seem like you can only believe in one. But I guess that's like you said, where spirituality kicks in. Of, well, who's to say who's right? Like, why can't I just believe in what I believe in? That's what brings me peace. And I think overall, the one thing that all religions and spirituality have in common is that you should have faith in what you believe in, regardless of what it is.
Yep. I
Mhm.
think that they all say, yep, you should have faith and you should honor God. I think most of them, if not all, say that you should like honor your parents and your dead and stuff like that. Just basic things to live by. Just, live life with a heart.
Yes. Do you think you could? Well, I think we touched on this a little bit, but do you think you could go back to your past self or the lifestyle that you had before?
Ooh, yes and no. Yes. Well, actually, let me start with no. No, because I don't want to relive certain lessons that I had to take. The up was nice, but yeah, the down was down, and pushing through to get through to the other side of that lesson, while it was something that was necessary and, I understand that it needed to happen, I just wouldn't want to go through it again. I'm okay. And then, yes, uh, because there's this weird part of me that's like, I like horror. I like the dark, twisted kind of stuff. So it's a part of me that's like, the pain felt good though a little bit. But it didn't, but it did. It was like, okay, I know I'm hurting for right now, but when I'm up, it's gonna feel like, I don't know, like I'm on drugs. Then when
Mm-hmm.
you're down, it's gonna feel like you just got snatched off drugs.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes, yes. I can definitely. I feel like the adrenaline is always nice. You know that I might like what's gonna happen next. That how do you say it? The suspense.
mhm.
Uh, like we're here today. I wonder where we're gonna be tomorrow. Once you start to get more in a stable lifestyle, in a calmer space, then it becomes more so like, well, I know what's gonna happen tomorrow. I'll just go to work. come home. There's no drama. There's no toxicity. Like, what is there to raise my blood levels? It's pretty predictable. That I do miss. And I think part of me misses that a lot because of the way that I grew up. It's more than just a couple of years. It's almost been like a lifetime of constant trauma and suspense and what's going to happen next. So that need for adrenaline is hard to escape when that's what you're used to. Yeah. In my healing journey, I've discovered that what I thought was normal isn't normal for other people.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, like I'll complain sometimes about how it sounds kind of weird to say out loud, but there's been times that I complain about how stable my life is now.
Mm-hmm.
And people will look at me like, what do you mean? Like, how is that a bad thing? This is what people want. You want to be stable. You want to be able to make sure that things are going the right way. I don't know. I think it definitely takes time to escape that need for adrenaline. Sometimes I do miss how carefree I used to be. In my past self, how I didn't really think much of things. It was more so of a act now, think later. We'll resolve it later. But that also got me in a lot of sticky situations. Well, why didn't I think about this now? Or before I did it?
Yeah, I mean, it does sound weird for you to like complain about stability. But you know what? I feel like that's really how it is when you grow up in more unstable environments. Like stability kind of feels weird.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a little weird.
Yes. I think I calmed down a lot after I got this neck tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But this was one of them act now, think later. It was one of them, and like, it's not the best tattoo, but I don't regret it because it taught me that lesson. Going back to being forced to learn a lesson.
Yeah.
This was one of them. This taught me to think, then act. When I got this, I wanted a tattoo that same day. This was mid-pandemic when not a lot of people were taking walk-ins. Everything was on an appointment basis, but I was on this urge of, I want it today. I need to get it today. I don't care what the consequences are. I don't care if what jobs have to say. We'll handle that later. We can come up with something. I'm doing it today. I spent about 20 minutes looking for a tattoo artist for someone to take me that same day. Didn't really think much of what I even wanted to get. And we ended up with a big old scorpion on my neck. Yes, but I'm thankful that if that was the worst, it's not too bad. But it was a lesson that I needed to learn.
Yeah, I've definitely heard much, much worse.
Yes. Yeah. So in a way, that's why I don't regret it, because it's not that bad. But it definitely got me to calm down.
You know, kind of like you intervened yourself. like came in and intervened yourself without knowing.
Yes, and it's a nice reminder when I do want to go on a what's it called? When I do want to go on a little adventure and be like, you know what, I don't really need to think about this. I turn a little and it's like, you know what, I kind of do. I kind of do. So, are there any things or habits that you think that you still need to work on?
100%. 100%. I'm extremely flawed, but perfection isn't really beautiful. So I kind of don't mind. I feel like I have a medieval scroll size list of things that need to be worked on, like just roll it out and it rolls 3 miles down the street. But one of them, I have a few. One of them is to redirect my addictive or obsessive energy that I can get sometimes towards more positive things than what I'm currently focusing on. Dedicating myself to a daily and monthly routine because I always feel chaotic. Growing up, in my household, like daily routine and structure was very much around going to school, but outside of that, there really wasn't any. So I was just able to do whatever I want in my room and like do what I want kind of when I want it. And that's not really good in adulthood. So trying to put myself on a schedule is a must because when I'm on it, I feel great. And then, you know, it also feels good to not care, but then I got to get back on. Emotional management is my third one because I'm always working on that. I feel like every day, I feel like I'm challenged every time that I have a quote unquote bad, intense feeling. It's like, okay, am I going to lash out or am I going to be a big person and care about what later Tondi has to deal with and not current Tondi? Really being considerate of when I enter into the future and time pays me a visit. And then the last one will really just be loving and believing in myself more. I feel like I'm very much so like 500 times more confident than I was when I was younger because I know where I've come from, but I still have bad days and bad weeks and just bad months, bad seasons, At this point, I'm really focused on creating an encouraging and soft environment to be able to coddle me when I'm in those times because they're kind of inevitable. They're going to come, but I just want to treat myself the best way that I can when they come so that my bounce back doesn't take as long as the fall,
Yes, completely agree. I think that for me, like you said, going through, I guess you could say tough times, going through harder times is how do I say that word? Inevitable?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I'm not going to say it again because that was hard enough. But you can't avoid these times. So for me, one of my biggest things that I want to work on is discipline. Because when I'm in a positive mindset, when times are good, it's real easy to keep up that discipline. It's when I start to fall in that depressive mode and get unmotivated that the discipline goes out the window. Like now that I'm completely independent, I don't have someone holding me accountable, whether it's school or my parents. Now that it's just on me, there will be a lot of times, especially when times are harder, like seasonal depression in the winter, where one day becomes 2 days, becomes 3 days of me saying, you know what, I don't really need to do this because there's no consequence. So I definitely want to work on my discipline of, regardless if someone's holding me accountable or not, whether I'm motivated or not, to do what I know I should be doing.
Mm.
Second thing is to continue to work on my patience. That one is just so hard for me because, like, saying no to myself is so hard. So hard.
It is. I had to say no to myself when I went to the store today because I wanted to buy some popcorn, but I didn't come in that store for that.
Yes, yes. There's been a lot of times where I should have waited and I just wasn't patient enough. And now, like, I can't even complain because I could have waited, wasn't patient, but that's a lesson because I'll be more patient now.
You know better. So you
Yeah.
do better.
Yes, yes. And the third thing would be to continue to learn how to communicate in a effective way. Because I can communicate. It's just not in the nicest way all the time.
I be having to catch myself like, ooh, I can't say that.
Mm-hmm.
Can't say that.
Yes, yes. It's hard because that's what's easy, the way you know how.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's easiest, but it's really hard and it takes a lot out of a person to be able to recognize, okay, well, this might not be the best way. I'm at that part of recognizing what might not be the best way. I still have to work on the second part of figuring out how to say it in a better way.
Yeah, rewording.
Yes, rewording.
100%. I feel like I try not to. Well, I feel like I don't really reword a lot of what I say unless I know what I'm about to say might hurt a person's feelings, but my intention isn't to hurt their feelings. Like, there's some things that we hear that we don't want to hear because, like, the perfect antidote can be poison if you're not ready for it. And so there's some things that I know might hurt a person's feelings, but I'm going to try to say differently so that it don't hurt their feelings. But I'm not trying to hurt their feelings, you know?
Yes.
So I definitely understand what you mean. And I'm not even the best at it. Sometimes I still be hurting feelings and I'll be like, I really did not mean to do that. Please understand that I was coming from heart.
Yes, I definitely feel it, especially when it comes to hurting other people's feelings. And especially when you feel like your feelings have been hurt or the other person is trying to hurt your feelings. Then I start to gaslight myself a little bit and say, well, if they didn't care about your feelings, then why should you care about them? Or why should you be the bigger person? Just say it how you think
it. Yeah. I struggle with that too, because I'm like, dang, if you can't take all of me, like, what am I here for?
Exactly. Yeah. But it's definitely hard. One last question for you. Is there anything, if you could talk to your past self, is there anything that you would say or do?
I would say don't let anything get in between what you want to do, not even you. And that's really it. Because I don't think I could have really stopped anything that happened before. Like, there's some things I just did because I was dumb. And there's some things that I feel like was cooking for years before it even happened. And it was just a ripple effect of something else. And I mean, I can control being a little, ignorant, but then there wouldn't be much fun and too many stories. So all that I can really say is, make sure you don't get in the way of you. And if you do, try to fix that as quick as possible. Because that's like the only thing that you can really control. Truly.
Mm-hmm.
There's not very much else that you can control. You can feel like you have a sense of control, but really there's outside factors that have nothing to do with you that you can't touch. And the only thing that you really can touch is yourself. So you got to make sure you're your biggest supporter, because if not, time will be your worst enemy.
Yes. Yes. I like that. I like that. Yeah. I think if I had the opportunity to have me in front of me, she was so sensitive, so depressed. I would give myself a hug. I would give myself a long, ooh, why am I getting emotional?
It's okay. It's okay.
No. Okay. So I would give myself a hug for starters because I don't like other people hugging me, not necessarily because I don't need a hug, but because it just makes me feel uncomfortable for people. I don't know. It just makes me feel uncomfortable. So I would start off by giving myself a hug that I know I needed and need. And overall, I would tell myself to be patient and have faith, and that everything is going to work out the way that it has to, even if it doesn't seem like it in the moment.
It has to.
Yes, yes. Well, I thank you so much for being here with us tonight, for taking the time to talk with us. I would love to have you back in the future for another episode. You have great advice. I love your opinions and your experiences that you have to share with us. Make sure to go subscribe to her YouTube channel, follow her on Instagram, follow her on TikTok, shop on her website for her wisteria crystals, and like this video, leave a comment, subscribe, make sure you have the notifications turned on so you don't miss a video, and I will see you next week. Bye.